and we're connecting into the core as you reach your hands out. Pull it in, so starting to pull the abdominals in. And we're going to bend it in. As we straighten your arms, you're going to pull your hips backwards here. So your weight is over your heels. Let's lift in and up. Hinging your weight backwards, pressing through your heels and lifting. So keeping the core engaged, you're reaching out, lifting up through here. So let's go back here. We're going to start to just kind of flow through the body. If you want to drop your arms down a little bit lower, just so you don't take it into your shoulders, that's fine. Also, you can kind of find your position here so that your shoulders are dropped, abdominals are engaged, lats are engaged. 2 more. And then we're going to hover in this position here. Start to bend your elbows in, reaching your hands out. So you're pulling your core in. You're popping your glutes out behind you, almost like you're sitting in a chair. Your weight is over your heels. And out. Let's do 3 more. And then checking in with your body. Make sure that you're connecting your full body here. So every exercise in this method is full body. So you want to make sure that every little piece is working together to support you. Let's do 1 more. And then we're going to lift all the way up through here. Start to hinge again, reaching the hands out. Let's lift it up. Try to evenly put weight on both heels. Just starting to build a little bit of circulation in your body, a little bit of heat. And let's do 1 more. Good. We're going to lift all the way up. You're going to rotate your toes outwards. You're going to be in a little bit of an external position here. We're going to bend your knees, start to reach your hands forward. Lifting it up. So let's try to just sink your hips directly down first. Lift it up. So we're not at a forward hinge. We're just bending the knees. Lifting up through the pelvic floor. Starting to feel your hips open up. In everyday life, we're always kind of remaining in parallel. So we want to make sure that we allow your hips to add some mobility with this open position. Start to hinge backwards. So you're hinging backwards here. Lifting up. So your hips are pulling out behind you as you reach your hands out. Lifting it up. All the way back here. And lift. So you're reaching out. So the ball adds a nice element here to keep your hands, connected, keeping your shoulders back. Allowing yourself to really focus on the core. Let's hold this position here. Start to bend the elbows in. Reaching the hands out. So you're keeping your abdominals in here. We're trying to keep a neutral pelvis, but if at any point you feel like you're having any lower back pain, you can add a little mini tuck into the pelvis here. So your weight is still over your heels. You're kind of light on your toes. You're trying to take this into the glutes. 2 more. And 1 more. Good. Let's lift all the way up. You're going to take the ball behind your head. I want you to press your head into the ball, so you're opening up your chest very slightly. Just start to bend your knees through here, lifting up through the abdominals. So just bending it down, lifting it up. So the move kind of comes, you're thinking you're pressing into your heels, think inner thighs, abdominals. You're going to lift up kind of as high as you can go, and you're going to make this move very active, so there's no end point. You're constantly lifting in and up to that point when you start to bend your knees again. Check in with your neck to make sure that your neck isn't pulling too far forward here. You want to try to keep your neck in line with your spine. 2 more. And lift. It's a really good hip opener at any point in the day, whenever you feel like you need a little bit of that. And then let's hold here. So you're going to go just about halfway down. We're going to bend over to the side, lift it back up to the center. Let's go up and over to the opposite side. Keep breathing. You're going to think inhale as you go over. Exhale to come back to center. Keeping your chest nice and open. And you're going to try to keep your weight in the center of your body also. Good. Up and over. Let's do 1 more on each side. Hello, inner thighs. Lift it all the way up. Let's go right back down again. We're going to hold here. You're going to start to rotate over to the side and use your abdominals to pull back to center. So this is where your inhale happens. Exhale back to center. The rotation comes from the belly button up. Just a nice little rotation here. Small rotation. And keep your shoulders back. Let's do 1 more on each side. And last one. And we're just going to lift all the way up through your heels, start to bend the knees down again. Lifting it up again, bend it down. 2 more. So your head is pressing into the ball. You can feel your arms working here as well. 1 more. And then let's lift all the way up. Reaching your hands forward again, turning your legs into parallel, lifting up through the core. The ball is squeezed here. We're going to bend your right knee, stretch out through that left leg. So you're stretching through one side here, lifting it up. I want you to feel your hips kind of pulling back behind you, and then really lengthening out of that opposite leg. So you're like stretching it out. We just did a lot of inner thigh work. So you're going to allow this leg to reach out as you stretch your arms out, lift it up. Your hips are pulled back behind you. We're tapping into this glute on this side. And let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And let's go over to the other side. Stretch it out, lift it up. Putting your weight into your heels, stretching out through those inner thighs and lifting. Reach it out. So make sure that when you're squeezing the ball, it's not like a really heavy squeeze so you're collapsing in the chest. Try to keep your chest nice and wide, squeezing a little bit from behind your shoulder blades. 2 more. And 1 more. Whew, okay, let's start to walk your feet inwards. Take the ball between your ankle. So your ankles are squeezing here, your feet are flat in line with your hips. You're going to do a very soft knee. Take your hands onto your pelvis here. Take a couple deep inhales. So you're going to inhale and exhale. And we're trying to work on expansive breath. So your ribs are going to open up on your inhale and exhale. Start to reach your hands forward through here. Taking your hands back, opening up your chest. So now your spine is trying to stay straight over your hips. And your hips are kind of shifted back slightly over to your heels so that you're squeezing your ball, but you're still lifting up through the core. And we're straight down. So we're in like one straight line here. And back. Feels nice to move your arms in this position too after holding the ball to really kind of open up those shoulders. Start to hinge backwards, reaching your hands out, pressing into the heels as you lift. Bending it back. Let's lift it up here and hold. Reaching it out. And let's go here. Check in also with that ball to make sure that it's squeezing evenly on both legs. You're also putting weight onto your big toes. So it's weight onto your heels, but also evenly from your pinky toes to your big toes. Let's hold this position, start to take your arms back and forward. So we can kind of allow this to kind of swing like a pendulum, but you're intentionally swinging them. So you're pressing them back, but really reaching it out. So you can find some sort of momentum here, but it's a very controlled momentum. Feel the warmth happening. Take your hands back and hold. Start to do tiny pulses up. Abdominals stay in. Shoulders are pulling back away from your ears. You're keeping your length in your neck. Check in with your jaw also. Make sure that you're not clenching there. A great tip is to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and it relaxes the whole jaw. Hold your hands here. You're going to reach one arm out. We're going to switch arms through here. So you're just going to switch and switch. So you're pulling your shoulders back, keeping the abdominals in, and then still putting your weight over your heels. It's like swimming, kind of. And back. And now we're going to do a slight rotation. And back. Let's go stick over to one side. So as your arm goes back, so we're just going to rotate to one side. The rotation comes from the belly button up. Still squeezing your inner thighs. Try not to twist your hips in this position. One more. And now we're going to reverse to the opposite side. So as the arm goes back, you're twisting. A nice twist. Keep the abdominals in. So a very slight twist. So if your body doesn't feel like it's mobile enough yet to do that full twist, just add a little bit of an internal twist. It doesn't have to necessarily be visible. Let's do one more on each side. And last one. Whew. Reach your hands all the way out. Let's lift yourself all the way up through here. You're going to bend it back through here. Slowly make your way onto the floor. We're going to start to bend your knees down, taking your hands directly underneath your shoulders. Let's keep those toes tucked for a second and check in with the center of your elbows to make sure they're facing forward towards your middle fingers here. Start to hover the knees up, so you're pulling the core and hovering up and hold. And then drop it down. And let's lift up here, tiny hover and hold. Drop it down. So remind yourself that every exercise here starts from the core. You really want that to be the driving force. So you're pulling it in and up, hovering and lifting. Drop it down. 2 more. Lift up and hold. Good. And then 1 more. We're going to hover up and hold here. You're just going to start to open your knees out to the side, squeeze them together in parallel. Open it out and squeeze. You're thinking outer legs, outer glutes. You're thinking inner thighs. Shoulders are back. You're trying to just stay very, very tiny bit hovered up off the ground. And back. 2 more. It's a good heat builder also. Drop the knees down. Uncurl your toes from here. Pulling the abdominals in. We're going to start to shift your weight forward. So keeping the core in here. Shifting backwards here. So you're pulling the abdominals in. You're going to allow this moment to kind of stretch out of your wrists. Stretch out of your shoulders. It's a great way to connect into the core and make sure that your core is starting to move forward and back. 1 more. And then back to center here. So keeping the abdominals in, start to take one arm out to the side. Drop it down. Let's take the other arm out to the side. Check in with your toes to make sure that your toes are relaxed. And so even though the ball is between your ankles, you're still engaging the pelvic floor and inner thighs. So it's like that whole hip girdle there. Trying to stay parallel to your hands, stay engaged. Remind yourself to breathe. Let's go over to the side. And we're going to take that arm out to the side. We're going to hover here. You're just going to take it up above your head and then back out into a T. Let's take it over your head, back out into a T. So when the arm is over your head, you're lengthening out of your spine. Pull it back here. If you want to connect to the breath, it's an inhale here, exhale. 2 more. 1 more. Drop that arm down, making sure your abdominals are in before we connect to the other side. And take the other arm out. Take it over your head and then out to the side. So keeping your abdominals in here, checking in with your neck to make sure it's nice and long. Reach it out. Let's do 2 more. 1 more. And you're going to drop your hands down underneath your shoulders. Let's turn your fingers facing outwards here. Pulling the abdominals in, you're going to shift forward just very slightly so that you're slightly over onto your wrists. You're going to rock side to side. We're going to stretch out of your shoulders, stretch out of the wrists. Then you're going to tell yourself that your obliques are doing this move. It changes it dramatically when you think of this as an abdominal exercise and not just a stretch through the arms. And out. 1 more on each side. All the way. And then let's pull your fingers back to center. Shoulders are out. We're going to take this arm out to the side. And now we're going to take it in towards your body here. And then take it back out into a T. So you're squeezing it in here, back out into a T. So you're going right into this position. Keeping the abdominals in, checking in with your body, make sure you're even on both knees. That's the goal there, so we're trying to even out the body. 1 more. And you're intentionally moving that arm in space. Let's drop it down. Let's go right over to the other side. Extend that arm out, squeezing it in towards your side, back out into a T. So keeping your abdominals engaged, keep pressing up through your wrists. You're really lifting up out of the shoulders. Try to keep your shoulders parallel to the floor. So even though one arm is up, you're still trying to stay parallel. I'm internally shaking and starting to sweat here. 2 more. Squeeze it in. 1 more. Woo. And then drop that arm down slowly. We're always starting to stay connected even with the release. We're gonna sit back here. We're gonna pull the abdominals in. I want you just to go like kind of slightly forward, almost into like a modified plank here. But you're really lifted up and over your fingertips. So we're stretching your shoulders back, your hips are dipping down. Pull the abdominals in here. So you're keeping your hands and knees kind of where they are. It's a nice stretch on your wrists as well, but if this feels uncomfortable on your wrists, you can make this move a little bit smaller. Let's do one more. Good. Sit back into a child's pose through here. And we're going to slowly roll all the way up. We're going to go onto your knees. And you're going to take your hands out into a T. I want you to press down into your body so you're actively pulling your arms down. Start to reach them out into a T again. Pressing it down, you're lifting up through the core, reaching it out. Pressing it down and out. Let's do two more here. Out. One more. And out. Turn your palms facing up. Let's go up to the ceiling. And then down. So your palms are still going to face each other. You're lifting up through here. Remind yourself that the lift of the arms comes all the way through your pelvic floor. So it's like lifting all the way in and up here as your arms lift. Keeping this lift as you drop your arms down. So we're trying to think your spine is continuously elongating, creating a lot of length through each vertebrae. One more. Palms down to the side. You're going to hinge back slightly, reaching your hands forward. We're going to go into some swimming motions here. You can really flow through it, but find kind of your widest wingspan, lengthen out of your neck. Kind of use this as a nice way to build up some circulation a little bit quicker, but keeping your core engaged. One more. And reverse, bend it in, stretch it out. And stretch it out. So all the way around. Keeping the abdominals in, pulling your weight slightly over to your hips, but trying to turn off the quads. One more. Good. Reaching your hands forward. Let's drop your hands down, sitting back into a child's pose. Start to curl your toes underneath. And we're going to stretch out into a full plank here. I want you to take your toes slightly over to the side. Your hips are going to open up through here. You're going to bend your knees off to the side as you start to press through the arms. Stretch it out. So your hips are staying kind of twisted over to the side and your knees are staying hovered, but your shoulders are staying square to the floor and to your wrists and your hands. Let's do three more. Two more. And one more. All the way out. We're going to come right back through the center and then go right over to the other side. So twisting to the opposite direction. Start to bend your knees. Press it all the way out. You're reminding your obliques to stay connected in both directions. Really stretching out through the shoulders. So checking in with your speed here. You don't want to go too fast where momentum takes over and you stop connecting into the core. But you don't want to go too slow that your circulation doesn't start to happen. So it's like right in between that sweet spot there. Last one. We're going to go all the way out. We're going to come back to center. You're going to slowly drop your knees down. Sit back into a child's pose. And then we're going to roll through the spine. You're going to start to lift your feet up so the ball is squeezed there. Shoulders are back. I want you to rotate your knees over to the side that we started on. So we're here. A little twist here. Shoulders are parallel. Keep your abdominals in. Start to bend your elbows down. Pushing it up. Whew. Bend it down. And lift it up. So you can find your own twist here. If this feels a little bit too much of a twist for your spine, you can make it a little bit smaller. Let's do two more. One more. Think exhale on the up. Pull your knees back to center. Let's go over to the other side. You can kind of roll through that center. One twist might feel different from the next. Shoulders back. Bend the elbows. Push it up through here. You're going to try to keep your knees apart so that you're still engaging your inner thighs, kind of squeezing the ball. Drop it down and lift. 2 more. 1 more. Whew. Back to center. Let's sit all the way out into a child's pose, stretching through your arms, slowly starting to roll through the spine. Lifting up through the core here, pulling your weight over your knees. Let's do a couple big circles here. Catch your breath. Let's do a couple the opposite way. Up and over. And 1 more. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to flip my mat. We're going to take your feet to the front of your mat. And I'm going to take that ball right underneath your lower back. So this is a great way to add some extra support into your lower back here. This is going to be your safety position where your arms are underneath your knees. You're pressing into the ball, so you're kind of relaxing here. Shoulders are back, your feet are slightly parallel. Start to reach your hands out in front of you, dropping the shoulders. I want you to use your abdominals to slightly lift up off the ball and then drop it down. So we're lifting it up, dropping it down. You're going to try to keep a little bit of a neutral pelvis, but with a slight tuck. So we're not fully tucking your whole body. We're trying to maintain kind of that length in your spine by lifting up through the chest. We're going kind of in this direction with your upper body. Keep your breathing going. And down. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And then we're going to hold it in this halfway point through here. Start to do very tiny circles with the arms. So you're keeping your abdominals in, shoulders are dropped. If you need a break here, a reminder that you can grab on underneath your knees, take a tiny break. And let's reverse. Nice circles. A lot of stability in your body happening here, so it's really just your arms circling here. Everything else is staying nice and engaged. And let's go back to center here. We're going to lower down and lift. Tiny lowers and lift. So check in with your feet here also. You don't want to put your weight into your toes and activate your quads and your hip flexors. You want to feel like the weight's almost in your heels and pulling into your glutes. So you can feel kind of like behind your legs starting to kind of connecting with the pelvic floor and the inner thighs. 2 more. And 1 more. And then we're going to hold it halfway here. Just take one arm out to the side, pull it back in. It can be very tiny. I want you to actively press through. Think you're engaging your arm as you press through, almost like you have some dead space that you're pushing through. Check in with your knees, make sure they're slightly separate. So many things to think about here. Protect your back always, so if at any point your lower back starts to hurt, take a moment break. Let's do 1 more on each side. And then back to center. Let's lower down again, lift up again. Shoulders are dropped. Now's a really great chance to check in with your neck to make sure that your neck is in line with your spine. Your head is just kind of going along for the ride, so it's staying lifted, but it's not like really trying to lift you up. Like you're just trying to keep it in this nice position where you can hold your head in real life and feel like the back of your neck and the front of your neck is not going to be overly aggravated. Let's do 1 more. And then grab on underneath your knees, round it back for a second. You can pull this in like this. You can also start to lift up. You can kind of like add a little mobility in the spine here, stretching through your shoulders. Lift it up. Let's do 1 more. And lift, and then you're going to reach your hands back. We're going to take your fingertips facing each other. So your hands are kind of slightly underneath your shoulders. The ball here is a nice way to not tuck too much into your pelvis. So we're staying lifted up here. Fingers are facing inwards. You can give yourself a little bit more space between your heels and your glutes. Abdominals stay in. We're going to start to hover one leg up, drop it down. Let's go the opposite leg. So you're lifting, drop it down, keeping the core engaged here. Telling yourself that your abdominals are lifting up your feet and not your hip flexors and quads. You're also getting a really nice stretch in your chest and your shoulders. It is a challenge. It looks very easy, but it definitely is not that easy. You're trying to lift your abdominals above the ball also. Let's do one more each side. And from here, you're going to lower down slightly, bending the elbows. You're going to lift up, pulling in the core here. Lower down slightly, lifting it up. So it's kind of equal abdominals as it is arms. Lifting it up. Let's do two more. And one more. You're going to lift up here and hold. We're going to start to hover this leg. So we're going to lift it up here. I'm starting with my left leg. You're going to reach that right arm out through here. You're going to extend that leg out as you start to lift this arm slightly up, bending the knee in here. So you're stretching it out, bend it in. If this feels like too much with one arm here, you can always drop this arm, match it with that opposite arm. Let's do one more. Drop it down, taking this hand back here, finding your position again, hovering this leg out, reach the opposite arm so your weight is still in the center of your body. Extend it out, reaching this hand up, draw it in. Extend it out, draw it in. Stretching it out. Let's do two more. And one more. And then drop it down, taking this hand behind you. We're going to lower down slightly, lift up through here, pressing into your arms. Lower down, pulling up in the core, very tiny. Let's do two more, and lift, one more. And lift up here and hold. You're going to walk your feet together, open up your knees so you're in kind of a diamond shape with your legs. We're going to lower down very slightly, start to hover one leg up, drop it down. Let's hover the opposite leg up. Drop it down. So a tiny lift and lower. Lift and lower. Also, if your arms are feeling like they're just so stretched out and they're really open here, you can also go here, give your arms a little bit of a break. It's a little bit more abdominal here as well. You can try both, feel how you feel. Lift and lower. I'm going to go back this position, lift. And let's hold this leg out. You're going to extend that opposite arm out. You're going to stretch out through that leg as you open up the arm, bend it in here. It's going to go very tiny. Your leg stays externally rotated. Your arm is opening up out to the side. Two more. One more. Drop that foot down, take your hand back through here, setting yourself into the center, hover this leg up, extend this arm out. You're still lifting up to the chest, up out of that shoulder, reaching it out, open, and in. Stretching it out, and in. Let's do three more, two more. Last one. Dropping this foot down, taking your hands back through here. Let's lift up in the chest very slightly. Drop it down. You can treat this as a little bit of a tricep press. An abdominal movement here. One more. Hover halfway up. We're going to lift one leg up. We're going to lift two legs up here and hold. Start to squeeze your knees. Open your knees out to the side. Also, if this is way too much, drop your feet onto the floor. And just squeeze your knees. Let's do three. The shakes, two. And one. Woo. Drop your feet down. Let's lift up off the ball. Let's take a butterfly stretch here. Stretching all the way out. You can allow your hips to open up. Really reaching through those arms. Ooh, hello. That was challenging. And let's slowly roll through the spine here. We're going to take the ball between your knees. Take your feet together, knees slightly apart. We're externally rotating. Extend your arms all the way out here. We're going to roll all the way down. So scoop and roll down, one vertebrae at a time. So really listen to your body here today. If you find that the roll ups and roll downs are not right for you, you can skip these and then just add a little mobility by going halfway down. If you are doing these roll downs, Focus on the length that's happening in your spine. Focus on centering your body straight through the center again. Scoop and roll all the way down. And let's lift it up. 2 more here. All the way down. Rolling it down. And then let's lift it up. And this last one, let's scoot a little bit. Scoop and roll all the way down. Start to draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug here. You can rock side to side. And then we're going to take your knees up to tabletop. So I'm going to squeeze my feet together and squeeze the ball very lightly. My arms are going to go out into a goalpost position. Give myself some space. So you're just opening up your chest here, giving the ball a nice squeeze, and you're going to try to get into a neutral pelvis, so that long spine. Dip your legs over to the right, and then use your abdominals to pull your knees back to center. So we're going over to one side. Make sure your abdominals are controlling this move. You're trying to keep your shoulder blades down onto the floor. So if you can notice, I'm not going very far because today I feel like my control is within this tiny range of motion. So I'm going to really listen to my body and only go a tiny bit. And let's go over to the right. You're going to hold here. I want you to open up your feet so you're internally rotating in the hips, and then squeeze your feet together. So your legs are off to the side, you're internally rotating. So you're thinking abdominals, internal, internal, internal. 2 more. Keeping your chest nice and open. 1 more. Back to center. You're going to dip your legs down very slightly. Pull it back in. So very tiny dips here. Make sure that your chin isn't lifting up, it's staying in line with your spine. Let's do 2 more. Also same with lowering the legs. Try not to lower it too far down so that you want to arch the spine. Really keep it within the range of motion. Let's lift up and over. Other side here. So you're finding a position where you feel like your oblique is hanging on. You're going to internally rotate the legs. Squeezing the feet together. Internally rotating. And squeeze. Let's go 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Internal. Squeeze that there. Dip it down very slightly. And lift. Whew. And lift very tiny. You're trying not to arch the spine. That's the hardest part here. If you feel like you don't want to dip your legs and just hold it, that's okay too. 1 more. Pull the knees back to center. Give yourself a hug and rock your hips side to side. We're going to drop your feet down, so your heels are going to be tight into your body. Let's take your arms out into a T. Placing your heels tight, squeezing the ball here. We're going to go into a bridge. Slowly start to articulate all the way up. Let's lift your hips up high. We're going to do tiny squeezes in on the ball, so think lower abdominals, inner thighs. You're stretching through your knees so that you feel like your knees are extending over your toes. So you're trying not to hold everything in so tightly into your body. You're thinking energy out that way, energy out through the top of your head. Trying to elongate your spine in 2 different directions here. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Squeeze and hold. Scoop and roll down. Let's go 1 vertebrae at a time. Dropping the hips down. Let's start to lift back up again. Hips lift all the way up high. Squeezing the ball a little bit more. We're going to do tiny dips and lift. Tiny dips down and lift. Check in to make sure that your weight is over your heels. So we're trying to turn on behind the legs, trying to turn off the hip flexors here, but feeling like your pelvic floor guides you. Sometimes it's nice to kind of take your hands in like that triangle position on your hips, just to feel what's going on. Sometimes like the sensors of your fingertips kind of read to your brain and you're like, oh, there it is, you know? So wherever you want your arm position to be, it's fine. 2 more. 1 more. Lift all the way up through here, scoop and roll down. Let's go 1 vertebrae at a time. And then let's lift up 1 more time here. All the way up. Turn your palms facing up to the ceiling. You're going to squeeze your hands together. Open your arms out to the side. Squeeze them together. Place your weight still in your heels. Open it up. Squeeze. And open. Let's do do 3 more here. 2 more. Keep connecting into those glutes. 1 more. Arms out to the side. You're going to take your hands all the way up over your head and then pull your fingertips all the way up so your shoulders can shrug up to your ears. And then you're going to slowly roll the spine down. Ooh, I got a nice crack in my back. You're trying to lengthen out of the spine. Start to pull your knees into your chest. We're going to rock side to side here. Grab on underneath your knees and we're going into a little rolling like a ball. You're going to use this moment to kind of lift up through the core, dropping the shoulders. Scoop and rock it back. Lift up and hold. Try to remove all momentum out of this move, really connecting into the core. Feeling your whole body moving with this motion. You can also feel a little thoracic kind of massage in your shoulder blades. If you really press down there. And 1 more. And lift all the way up. Dropping your feet down. Amazing. We're going to lay onto your side. Let's take the ball between your ankles. You're going to stretch out through your legs here, and you're going to keep your head down. So we're finding one straight line here. You're checking in with your core to make sure that your abdominals are lifting up towards the ceiling. So you're trying not to just rest onto the floor. You're really lifting in and up, stretching through those legs. Start to hover your legs up here and hold, and then drop it down. So you're thinking your abdominals and your inner thighs are starting to lift your legs. We're lifting up here. Drop it down. Your front hand can be in front of you just for some extra little support. If you're feeling super strong, you can take your both hands up over your head. Let's do 2 more. 1 more. You're going to lift up here and hold, and now you're going to externally rotate in the hips. You're going to open your toes up out to the side and then come back into parallel. So you're externally rotating back to parallel. It's very tiny, but you're just rotating through your hip joint back to center. 2 more. Keep your breathing going. 1 more. Whew. Drop your legs down. Let's prop yourself up onto this elbow. So it's going to feel like you can't really lift too much here, but I want you to take your elbow slightly further away from your body. Lift it up, and then you're going to also feel like this hip is pressing out this way, so almost like your top leg is longer than your bottom leg to get yourself to lift up a little bit higher here. So we're going to find this position. You're going to extend this front arm. We're going to add a little rotation down to the floor. So you're going to do like a little twist here. Then you're going to reach this arm back. Start to pull your knees in. You're going to take it straight into your body here, stretching it all the way out. And then you're going to rotate to the floor. So we're going up and over, bending the knees in, abdominals stay in, stretching it out, adding a slight rotation here. Also, if you feel like it's a little bit too much to rock all the way back onto both hips, you can also pull your legs in on a diagonal. You can also play around with it, see which one you like better. It's 2 different versions of kind of that same move. Stretch it out. 2 more. So you're keeping your spine in neutral, even as your knees pull in. We're trying not to collapse into the spine. Trying to keep that length happening here. So you're like drawing it in, keeping the core engaged all the way out. And twist. That's that last little stretch, which I love. Take the ball underneath your bottom foot. You're going to stretch out through that leg. Let's lay it all the way flat one more time here. So you're going to find a nice position there, squeezing the heels together, dropping your head down and then lifting up through the core again. So you're really zipping in and up here. Front arm is just relaxed. You're stretching out through that top leg, so it's a little bit longer than your bottom leg. You're going to point the toe up, flex the foot down. Point that toe up, flex it down. So you're keeping your hips stacked on top of each other. You're trying to keep your whole body in one straight line, almost like a pencil. Point it up, flex it down. Let's do 2 more. 1 more here. And now flex the foot up, point the toe down, stretch it out. Remind yourself that your leg is an extension of the core, so you want to make sure that as you're lifting and lowering, your core is helping your leg. 2 more here. 1 more. And then you're gonna hover that leg up and hold here. Do very tiny circles. Ooh, it's hard to keep controlled here. If you can see it, I'm doing a very tiny circle hovered up. Mine are feeling very tiny today. 2 more. And let's reverse 5 the opposite way. Even the tiniest move here is extremely challenging. Check in with your core, check in with your spine. Get 2 more. And 1 more. Whew. Taking that leg in front of you, let's give it a little pull here so you can stretch out on that hip. Just kind of take a nice moment to kind of like press your hip in the opposite direction. And then we're going to walk that foot so it's a little bit closer to where your knee is. We're going to prop yourself up onto your elbow here. We're going to lift up in the core. We're going to start to hover your hip up. I want you to wrap your arm around here and grab onto the other side of your body. Grab on there. Make sure that this is what's lifting. So you're dipping your hips down, lifting up from that part of your body. So it's almost like your arm is kind of helping you here. You're lifting it up off your shoulder. Drop it down and lift. Let's do 2 more so your bottom leg is still on the ball. 1 more. Let's lift up and hold. Start to extend this top arm up. We're going to bend it. You're going to twist down to the floor. Let's open up your chest very slightly up to the ceiling. Dip it down. So a nice little twist here. Your hips are not rotating with you. It's just your upper body. 2 more. Open it up. 1 more. Open it all the way up. And then dropping that hand down, drop your hip down, and then let's switch right over to the other side. Okay. Legs stay out long, squeezing the ball. Let's get right into it here. Really stretching through the legs. You're going to lay your head all the way flat, pulling up in the core, stretching through those legs. Keeping the abdominals in. Let's start to hover your legs up here and hold, and then drop it down. So you're just lifting up, you're feeling your legs extending out of the core, keeping the abdominals in. Also check in with your toes to make sure that your toes aren't lifting. So you're like lifting more from like the inner thighs here. Drop it down. Check in with your fingers too. I was realizing my hand was starting to kind of like grip there. So you can hold a lot of tension in your fingers too, so let those relax. And then we're gonna lift up here and hold. You're gonna externally rotate in the hips and then come back to parallel. So slight external rotation as your toes reach outwards. Squeeze it back. Whew. 3 more. Second side is challenging. 2 more. Open it up. Back to center. 1 more. And back to center. Drop your legs down, and then we're going to prop yourself onto your elbow here. So you're going to remind yourself your lift is up through here. This top leg is extending out even further. Top arm rotates down to the floor. So you can also do this without the rotation if you feel like it's too much, but I like to add a little bit of that extra element of twisting in the spine if you feel like it's right for you today. Okay, we're going up and over. Start to bend your knees in here, so you're pulling your knees in, stretching them all the way out. Rotate down to the floor. So you're opening up the chest. Start to draw your knees in. Really tight ball if you can get there with a neutral pelvis. Twist. 3 more. What's also nice on the second side is you get like a nice little glute stretch. If you can feel kind of how that massages from one glute to the other. So if you're going to repeat this session, make sure that the next time you're starting with the opposite leg so you can get the massage on that side too. 1 more. All the way in. And up and around. So nice. Okay, the ball goes underneath the bottom foot. Stretch it all the way out long. Stretching through your legs. Let's lay all the way down again. It's a really great break for your neck to make sure that your head is pressing down into your arms. Elongating out through your legs, lifting up in the core here. Take a deep breath. Let's point the toe up. Flex the foot down. Point it up. Flex that foot down. So you're finding your whole body stacked on top of each other. Really working your core in a different way here because it's more stability than anything. Keep your breathing going. Let's do one more. Try to keep that leg in parallel if you can. I started externally rotating a little bit there. Try to keep your foot parallel to the floor. Let's flex it up, point it down. It's almost like you're leading with the heel. Flex it up and point it down. Let's do two more here. And one more. And then you're going to hover that leg up and hold. Here's the challenge, lifting up through the core, dropping the shoulders, tiny circles through here. Make sure you're feeling it in your glutes, trying to turn off the quads. Think abdominals. Let's do two more. Try to keep that ball really stable too, and then let's reverse. That's kind of like the challenge here too, is the lower leg is doing some work, even though it feels like that's not where your focus might be. But the ball creates that instability on that bottom leg where you're kind of still working that inner thigh to hold that leg. It's hugely different than if the leg is on the floor. Two more. Okay, take that stretch. You deserve it on that side, for sure. Okay, stretch through the hip. By pulling your leg in here too, one extra way to get more of a stretch is by like actively pushing this hip backwards, so it kind of gets a little bit more of a stretch. You're going to take that foot over towards your knee, so give yourself a little bit of space. Prop yourself up onto your elbow here. We're lifting up out of the shoulder. You can wrap your hand around here. You're kind of like lifting up. So you kind of just like feel what's going on. Like really like touch your body here, like grab on. Lift up, pulling in the core, lifting up through the shoulders, finding this nice straight line all the way out through your toe. You're going to dip your hips down and lift. Dip it down and lift. So your weight is also in this heel here. And lift. Whew. I got a little wobbly there. A lot of focus has to happen, a lot of control. Two more. One more. Lift up here and hold. Start to extend this top arm up to the ceiling. We're going to rotate down underneath your arm. Open up your chest, but try to keep those hips stacked. Twist it down. Open it up. So it's your abdominals rotating from your belly button up. Let's open up here. Two more. Ooh. Last one. Ooh. This side is a little challenging for me today. Open it all the way up. And then drop your hips down. Awesome. Okay. Let's flip around. We're going to lay all the way down. We're going to do some nice leg inversions. Get your inner thighs opened up. Open up your hips before we end here. So let's take the ball underneath your tailbone. So the ball position here is key. You don't want it too high on your lower back. Okay, so this will relax your abdominals here, and it won't allow you to kind of tap into this work because it's adding that support. You want to take the ball kind of more down towards your tailbone. So if you can see that if I let my abdominals go, my back wants to kind of fold and tuck here. You want to lift it up through the core, so you're keeping yourself in neutral. I'm going to grab onto my ball, but you can take your hands here, you can take your hands out to the side. I like to kind of grab it and pull my shoulders back. Take one knee at a time into tabletop. Find that neutral pelvis through here. You're going to dip one leg down to the floor, lift it right back. You're going to try to keep your leg shape exactly how it is and try not to bend any further at the knee. You're just dipping it down, lifting. Tiny dip and lift. Let's do one more on each side. And now we're going to open up your knees through here. Dip it down and lift. Tiny dips and lift. So you're trying to relax your shoulders, trying to stabilize your hips on the ball, and that's where that neutral pelvis really comes into play. You want to press your tailbone down to almost ground your ball down to the floor. Check in with your neck here too. If you've been looking in one direction, make sure that you kind of wobble your head side to side. Keep this whole shape here. Dip it down, lift it up. Tiny dips as your legs lift. Remember, you're not tucking in the pelvis. Dip it down and lift. Let's do three more. Two more. One more. Pull the knees together. Extend your legs up to the ceiling. Give them a little wiggle here. It feels so nice just to kind of fully release them. Toes are up. Let's take your toes apart and heels together. We're going to go into some tiny circles. You're just going to circle your legs around, squeeze. So keep them tiny so that your back's not arching. Your neck is not aggravating here. 2 more. Still a lot of abdominal. 1 more. Let's reverse. Keep breathing through these. Back to center. Let's open your toes about to the side. Point it out. Flex the foot and squeeze. So you're pointing, you're externally rotating your legs, flexing the feet and squeeze. So you're allowing gravity to pull your legs down just an extra inch. Point it out. Flex and squeeze. Let's reverse. Let's flex your feet out. Point and squeeze them back. Flex it out. Point and squeeze. Relaxing your head. It's a great time also to close your eyes. You know, part of the method is kind of creating this meditative, restorative movements that allow your mind and body to connect in a way that feels very meditative. So you can close your eyes if you want to. And then drop your right leg all the way down. Take your left knee into your chest. Stretch through that right hip. So you're getting a nice stretch all the way through this hip flexor. Elongating it all the way out through there. Let's go right over to the other side. Take this knee in, stretching out through the hips. And let's drop both feet down through here. Let's lift up off the ball. Slowly roll the spine down 1 vertebrae at a time. We're going to go into a little bit of a gut massage. So if you don't feel comfortable laying on your stomach, we can go into a child's pose here if you feel like this is right for you. We're going to take the ball right into your pelvis here. You're going to take your hips nice and open. I want you to just lay over the ball. So you're just going to drape over here. Let your legs hang heavy and let your head hang heavy. So you're just doing full body weight over the ball. Try to relax into the ground as much as possible. Relaxing your legs here. Take a few deep breaths. You can start to kind of like circle your hips around, or you can kind of like shift side to side. Allow the ball to massage through your digestive tract, through all of that low abdominal work. Part of pelvic floor exercise is also strengthening, but making sure that we're also stretching evenly. So you don't ever want anything to really tighten up. We always want to have that kind of stretching aspect of it also. So just something to think about when it comes to movements. There has to be kind of a stretch element with the actual strength part about it. The muscle connection creates a very healthy muscle, a healthy pelvic floor. And then we're going to go up onto your forearm. Start to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to lift your knees up so now your full weight is on top of the ball. We're just going to rock forward and back, so you're going to allow the ball to go even closer down towards your pelvis. And then you can kind of like walk backwards so the ball can go all the way up to your diaphragm if that feels okay. It's very nauseating sometimes if this is the first time you've ever done a gut massage like this. So, you know, the more pressure you put on your elbows, the less pressure it puts on the ball. It eases up a little bit of that. The more you kind of sink into the ball, the deeper the ball gets into your abdominal wall here. And let's go back. This is like the one time I'm allowing you to sink all the way into your shoulders. Good. And 1 more. Good. And let's drop your knees down. Take your hands back. Let's sit into a child's pose. You can ditch the ball off to the side, stretching through those arms. And then let's slowly start to roll the spine up 1 vertebrae at a time. Let your head be the very, very last piece here. You can roll your shoulders back. You take a couple deep breaths here. And that was 60 minutes, full body, gut massage at the end, which is one of my favorites. Great job. Countdown is beginning of this. It always freaks me out with this countdown. How are we feeling? I'm a little sweaty today. I feel so good. I love you all. I hope you feel really, really great. All the feelings. Feeling really good, feeling really connected. Tomorrow is Friday. I don't think there is a live tomorrow, but next week there are a bunch of new things. There's like a couple additions in next week. I'm working on a ton of things for the app, so I will keep you posted with all of that. How do you get out of the mentality of no cardio? That is a super, super, super tricky one, and it took me years and years and years before I found Pilates to understand that. I don't do any cardio anymore. I'm running out of time here, but I will I'll kind of get into that. And whoever sent that, if you want to send me a DM, I'll try to talk to you personally. I love you all. And if you have any extra questions, let me know. And have a great Thursday. I hope you feel awesome and very, very connected. I'm going to sign off before this gets cut off. Love you all. Bye.